Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. Cork 328, Limerick 326. And oh my goodness me, what a game, what a match, what a sport. I mean, this probably was game of the year, game of the decade in my opinion. This was absolutely incredible stuff. How Cork won this game, I don't know. How Limerick even came back into the game having been 8 points down, I don't know. Absolute madness, absolutely craziness, and everything we love about Munster hurling was summed up in this 70-minute match. You feel like neither side really deserved to lose the game. You felt like you nearly would have wanted to see an extra 10, 15, 20 minutes of this game because that was absolutely breathtaking stuff. And look, fair play to Cork. You have to give them a huge amount of credit. When that point goes over the bar, I think from Kyle Hayes, or from Aidan O'Connor, actually, it was, to put Limerick 2 points in front. You felt like it was gone. You felt like surely now with 2 minutes left, are Cork going to be able to muster up a goal chance? They hadn't mustered up a goal chance really in the second half. They didn't really have a sniff of a goal chance, really. But Shane Kingston goes on one of the most remarkable runs I think I've seen. Like, he has the ball, he skips around two players, a huge amount of risk. He gets brought down by Kyle Hayes, and I think it was the right decision. Like, he was a bit away from the goal, but I think all in all, like, the speed at which Shane Kingston was running at, yes, fair enough. You did have Cathal O'Neill, who was closing in on him ever so slightly, but I think he would have got a goal chance. He would have taken the chance, and ultimately, it was a very cynical challenge from Kyle Hayes. So I don't think really there can be an argument with the black card or the penalty. Patrick Horgan, balls of steel to put that ball in the back of the net. That was an incredible finish. And I don't really know how to review this game or how to discuss this game. Like, there was just so much that happened from start to finish. Like, Cork came flying out of traps, obviously, early on. They get themselves a goal from Seamus Harnedy. They're 1-4 to 2 points up after 5 minutes. They're cruising really in more ways than one. Limerick are looking like they're struggling again. They can't really get into the game. They're struggling to find their flow. Passes are breaking down. You know, they were losing so much ball, and they were so open at the back. Like, Cork could have had 4 or 5 goals in that first half. I don't think I've seen Limerick as open as that. Even in the Clare game, I don't think they were as open as that defensively. They were getting killed on high balls. Like, the amount of times Cork were going long, and usually Limerick's formidable full-back line would gobble up everything, and that just wasn't the case. Limerick's defensive line was beaten and bruised on more than one occasion, and Cork were absolutely outstanding. And I think, to be honest with you, the big thing from Cork here was their mentality, because that's what they showed here. Like, for example, they conceded that goal from Seamus Flanagan on the 25th minute. They got themselves a goal, about a minute and 5 seconds later, they said on commentary from Shane Barrett. Incredible stuff there from Cork. Like, every time Limerick threw a punch, every time Limerick came back into it, Cork had an answer. And look, you have to give Limerick some credit as well. 8 points down at half-time. I tweeted out at half-time and I said Limerick will still go on to win this game, because, to be honest with you, we've saw Limerick in this situation so many times, and they always come back to get the job done. And lo and behold, there was a 10-point swing, and it was looking like Limerick were going to do it again. Aaron Gallant started to step up. Cathal O'Neill, I thought, was brilliant. The introduction of Adam English, I think, changed the game just as it did against Clare. Seamus Flanagan obviously gets the goal. Like, Patrick Collins going short on the puck out, probably not the right decision there. I thought Cork were getting so much joy off long puck outs, and obviously we haven't had a chance. Like, the game was moving so quick, we didn't even get to see how Shane Kingston ended up in the situation that he was in, but I presume it was from a quick puck out from Patrick Collins. And look, and going back to the goals from Limerick, Seamus Flanagan ends up with a hat-trick. Like, he absolutely gobbled up those chances. Brilliant finishing, obviously, from him. But Cork just didn't die. And it was like towards the final 10, 15 minutes, there was some similar signs to Limerick against Clare and this game as well, where Cork just slightly started to lose their way a little bit. They were still chipping away at the scoreboard. Like, Shane Barrett was scoring, Darragh Fitzgibbon was obviously having a couple of moments. Shane Kingston, who obviously came on, made a huge impact. And how many times have we said that down the years? Like, Shane Kingston is the definition of a super sub, and sometimes you wonder how he doesn't start more, how he doesn't feature more, because every time I've seen him come on, he always makes an impact. And like, he scored within minutes of coming on. Alan Connolly obviously scored as well. And like Limerick were doing enough to keep themselves in front. And like obviously, like there was a few contentious decisions in there as well. Like, could Aaron Gillan have been sent off for a hit of the hurl on Patrick Collins? That was an argument. I don't think there was really enough in that, in fairness, and I do think Patrick Collins probably made the absolute most out of that. And I think at most it was a yellow card, but I think a red card would have been harsh. You did have Patrick Horgan, who looked like he was clearly dragged out over on the sideline, and quite incredibly, Sean Stack gave it the other way, which I thought was a little bit bizarre, to be honest with you. But Cork rallied and they found the way, and they just did not lie down. They get that goal chance from obviously the ball gets played into Shane Kingston, as we said. The way he ran with the ball, the skill, and then Patrick Horgan puts the ball in the back of the net. And I think, do you know what, for Patrick Horgan and for Cork in general, like just seeing those scenes, seeing the Cork fans jump for joy, the Cork fans get on the pitch, it's absolutely brilliant, because Cork is such a historic and massive hurling county. And look, take nothing away from Limerick, they're not going anywhere. I still think they'll be in the Munster final. I still think they'll win the Munster championship. I still think they'll win the 5 in a row, in all honesty. I think if anything, this result will add more fuel to their fire. They definitely do need to start working more on their first half performances, because this is probably the third time now in 4 games where they've really struggled in the first half of matches. You know, like similar to the Clare game, they left themselves with too much to do. Again, they managed to come back, but I don't think it's sustainable always coming from behind. And to be fair, Limerick at their best aren't usually at that, to be fair. But just the scenes at the end, I don't think I've ever heard Parky Queeve as loud as that. Do you know, that way, like the absolute scenes at the end, the fans obviously running on the pitch and everything else. It was absolutely joyful stuff. And it makes the Munster Hurling Championship wide open into the final game, which, look, as a neutral, is what we all want to see. That is what we want to see, in all honesty. And look, we've had some mad results in Leinster today. Carlow, Kilkenny, obviously Dublin beating Antrim. I suppose that wasn't a mad result, but you get what I mean. Like, so it's wide open. It's absolutely wide open, and you don't know which way this could go now. There's a million comments flying in there, so we'll have to get to them at some stage. But just need to shout out a few players before we do that. Patrick Horgan, 111 from him, outstanding. Seamus Harnedy really, really stood up, 1-2. Dara Fitzgibbon, I think, won a man of the match on GA Go, 5 points, obviously, from him. Alan Connolly with 2 points. Brian Hayes was outstanding as well. And Tim O'Mahony, I thought, had a very good game as well from a Cork perspective. And then Shane Kingston, like, what more can you say about him? And look, for Limerick, like, again, they scored 326 at Parky Queeve. Just that first half, I think, is letting them down. They're just leaving themselves with too much to do. And yes, they always find a way to come back and everything else. But I just think there's going to be a moment where you get caught. There's going to be a moment where that doesn't work out. And I think today was the day where that happened. Do you know what I mean? Because so often Limerick fall behind and then they rally and turn it around. Whereas this was the day it finally came back to bite them, in my opinion. So that's something they need to work on. But look, Shamie Flanagan outstanding, 3-3. I thought Cole Hayes really stood up in the second half as well. Grode Hegarty was decent with 4 points. Galan with 7. Cathal O'Neill with 3. But yeah, incredible stuff. Well, plenty of people tuning in, so much appreciated for anyone who is tuning in. If you could hit the like button and subscribe, that would be absolutely outstanding. Yeah, we've so many comments to go through here, so we'll try to get them all. Denise says here, well, definitely game of the year, an absolute cracker of a game, a joy to watch. Well done to Cork. They sure had a fire in their belly to remain in championship. Yeah, like, I mean, to fight the way they did, like the amount of tenacity they showed in the first half, but the mentality to dig themselves back into it. And you know, I think they deserve it. I think it would have been a massive shame to see Cork go out today, because again, I think they did so much right. Like, going into those final couple of minutes, you were looking at it and thinking, like, what do Cork need to do here? Like, because I thought they were good against Clare last week. Yes, they struggled for large parts against Waterford, but even at that, I still think they produced a good enough performance there to at least get something towards the end. You're thinking back to the games last year, and you're just thinking, like, Cork are doing so much right. Like, if Cork were in Leinster, the way the Leinster championship is going, Cork would probably win that, in all honesty. So, do you know what I mean? You're just thinking, what a massive shame it would be for them to be gone. I think the championship is better with them in it. You see the fans, the energy that they bring and everything else. So, incredible stuff. Brian Hayes, what a guy, never gave up. Great to see. such a brilliant game as a neutral spectator. Yeah, Brian Hayes was outstanding as well. So many players, by the way, you can't get through them all. You can't, like, I think everyone nearly deserves praise there, to be honest with you. Like, Limerick deserve a huge amount of praise for coming from behind. Adam English deserves a massive shout out, in my opinion. And then Cork deserve massive praise again for, I mean, they came from behind, obviously, as well, with that late goal. Incredible stuff. Gavin says, Hon, the super value, Cork hurling might just last longer than the footballers. Killian with Oscar earlier this year, hopefully. Bambi wins Eurovision tonight for Ireland. Cork's doing well at the moment. Yeah, look, I mean, if all them things happen, you know, with the Eurovision and everything else, then who knows? You know, I think there might be a bank holiday in Cork this coming weekend, to be honest with you. Dublin is great. Says that was the game of the year. It was absolutely incredible. Stockroom says here, well done, RTE. Another couple of classics left behind the paywall. Yeah, look, I know it's probably overly been discussed at this stage, but a game like that, not on. Imagine this, like, because again, so many casual hurling fans out there who will sit down and could have sat down and watched that game and been like, that was absolutely incredible. I want to watch the next one. Whereas now, do you know what I mean? I feel like it was only really the diehard fans who got to saw that. And even some diehard fans wouldn't have got to saw that in certain parts of Cork and everything else because of internet connection. But yeah, but there we go. Denise says the only negative I do have is the game being behind the paywall. So many people didn't get to opportunity to watch such a classic game. Would have promoted hurling massively if it's on free to air TV. Yeah, absolutely. Shawnee says delight for Cork. At least they showed what they're made of. Hopefully now this is only the start because hurling needs Cork back at the top table. Yeah, look, I think you need as many teams as possible. It's the same as football. The more teams you have, the more competitive the championship is and the better it is. And to be fair to Cork, they haven't been a million miles away in the last couple of years. I know they obviously got knocked out in the Munster round robin last year, but even at that, like, they were never hammered, they were never beaten comfortably. So yeah, quite remarkable stuff. And look, for Cork, they need to go out and beat Tipperary now. And as obviously Pat Ryan was saying, and Dara Fitzgibbon and everything else in the post-match interview, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that in the grand scheme of things right now. Like, they need to go and beat Tipperary and then obviously hope that certain results go their way. And I think they probably will, because I'd imagine I couldn't see Limerick losing to Waterford, in all honesty. I think they'll bounce back and win that game. And I do think Clare will have enough to get past Tipperary as well. So I think for Cork, I think as long as they beat Tipperary on the final day, I think they should be okay. Ref had a great game, says Tim here. Yeah, do you know what? He actually did. He did, and fair play to him, because referees obviously have come under massive scrutiny and everything else. I think the only decision, in my opinion, he got wrong was the line ball where Patrick Horgan looked like he was dragged out over the line. I think he gave that the other way for Limerick. I think in such a key moment, I think that was a harsh decision. But apart from that, look, I think it was definitely a black card for Cole Hayes. It was a cynical foul. He knew exactly, obviously, what he was doing, trying to stop the goal chance. And all in all, yeah, I think it was a brilliant game from him and absolutely great to see. He let it flow, played advantage at different times as well, which was great to see. So yeah, it felt like this game was 2 hours long. I was nearly afraid to blink in case I would miss something. Yeah, look, and even the cameras struggled to keep up with it, you know? Like, I mean, that effort, obviously, from Aidan O'Connor goes over the bar for Limerick, and we're all thinking, right, that's it, game done and dusted. And to be fair, you have to give massive credit to Patrick Collins, because he came under massive scrutiny against Clare. His puckouts, I thought, overall in this game were fine, but there was just a few moments where he went short, maybe when he shouldn't have, and ultimately that came back to cost Cork, or at least it did at the time. So to have the tenacity to hit the ball long to Shane Kingston, that's what we presume happened anyway, because we actually didn't get a replay of it, but there we go. Shame for hurling it wasn't on TV. Game of the year between two heavyweights, absolutely incredible. And something tells me it mightn't be the last we see of Cork playing Limerick this year. And Cork and Limerick, they always produce great games, don't they? You think back to 2018, the All-Ireland semi-final. I remember a round-robin game in 2019 being very good. The game last year was very good as well. Obviously, the 2021 All-Ireland was a bit of a mismatch, but generally speaking, Limerick and Cork have had some very, very good games in the last few years here. Paul, absolutely agree with you there. It was incredible. Dublin is great, says Seamus Flanagan, man of the match. Yeah, he probably, like, he scored a hat-trick in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, you probably do deserve a hat trick. You probably do deserve man of the match, but there we go. Jared says a game where Cork needed it more keeps Cork in the Munster Championship. Good for hurling. Shawnee says Cian Lynch quiet enough. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think it was Cian Lynch's best game. Few moments here and there just didn't quite click. He didn't quite seem to have that usual pace that he has. We didn't really see those driving runs from him either. So yeah, it wasn't his best game, but look, I do remember it was a similar scenario in Munster last year, and then he clicked right into gear in those semi-finals versus Galway. So you certainly wouldn't be writing him off either. John says Hon the Rebels. Tim says Flanagan usually plays really well. Glan is tied down. John says if Limerick loses to Waterford, Cork are out. Limerick are in solid third spot. There we go. Yeah, I presume with Claire tip. So yeah, maybe Limerick are through regardless, depending on certain results. Maybe score difference could come into it, but I'd still imagine Limerick will bounce back. Dublin is great. Says, will you do a watch along for the Ulster final tomorrow? Probably not, because I'll be at the Dublin Loud game, so probably be rushing to get back, but we'll certainly react to it at some point. Paul says was not expecting the Rebels to pull this off. Yeah, just remarkable, especially when Limerick did turn it around. Remarkable for a 10-point swing. You're thinking it's the same thing again. Deja vu of Limerick just coming from behind and producing an incredible classic. But then Cork made one of their own. And yeah, it was just remarkable. I think most Cork fans felt they were gone. And you know what? You probably needed a little bit of luck along the way, in the sense that like that puck out from Patrick Collins obviously went to Kingston, and then the little flicks and everything else to get himself that extra yard of space. But it was more than deserved, because it was brilliant hurling from Cork. So maybe luck is necessarily the wrong word, but you get what I mean. I think every team there needs a little bit of luck along the way. 4 points plus 16. Cork can't catch up. Yeah, look, that I suppose if Waterford do win, but that's if Waterford do win. Do you know what I mean? Will Waterford beat Limerick? Look, the way this championship is going this year, you wouldn't bet against it, to be honest with you. But there we go. Hurling needs Cork and tip back. Dylan says here, London beat Offaly 220 to 12 points. Yeah, I couldn't believe that when I saw that. When I saw that scoreline, to be honest with you. Limerick would only be safe if more than two teams finish on the same points. Otherwise, Cork would have them on head-to-head. Yeah, look, it's there's going to be twists and turns. We probably won't know how it's going to end up until the final whistle blows. One thing I would say is that I think Tipperary fans right now will be very disappointed. I actually think they'll be the most disappointed out of everyone, because I think Limerick, look, they'll still go through. They'll still kick on, in my opinion. But Cork gives them a massive chance. But for Tipperary now, like, you now play Clare and Limerick, or Clare and Cork, when they're still in it, they still need wins and everything else. So there we go. Smurf says tip will be Cork. Paul is saying like folks. Thank you very much, my man. I appreciate that. Connor says John Coleman if they lose by enough. Yeah, that was obviously response. Limerick are on track. The heavy work was done tonight. There's so many comments here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get through them all, in all honesty, which I really, really do appreciate. Jared says Sean Finn injured again. That's the biggest negative for Limerick. Yeah, that was huge. Absolutely huge, because Limerick's full-back line massively struggled there, in my opinion. So there we go. But Jack says here, even Leinster hurling is mad this year. It is. Like seeing the Carlow Kilkenny game. Like, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it, but I'll probably watch it back later tonight, to be fair, because it was on GA Go. But yeah, extraordinary. Like when you're seeing the scores and you check the score and all of a sudden it's level going into injury time, and you're thinking, what on earth is happening there? Like this hurling championship is mental. Absolutely mental stuff. But yeah, look, I mean, I suppose to conclude, massive congratulations to Cork. Obviously the celebrations at the end. I think Cork fans will remember this game for some time, provided obviously they do kick on, because I think if they were to go out and lose to Tipperary next week, not that this result becomes irrelevant. I think Cork fans should enjoy the moment. They should celebrate and they should soak it in and everything else. But there is obviously still massive work to be done. But considering the amount of hurt that Cork would have had against Limerick as well, 2021 last year, 2022 as well. So absolutely massive for Cork to get that win. Even thinking back to 2018 as well when they lost that game. So like Limerick have dished out their fair amount of pain to Cork fans in the last couple of years. So yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. What an advert for hurling that wasn't on free to air television, but there we have it. I suppose that was a massive shame as well. But look, an absolutely cracking game. I don't think you can really criticize Limerick too much, even though they lost. The only thing you could look towards is, again, first half performances have been a little bit sluggish at times this year, but I think that's something they can iron out, and that's definitely something they can work on. And in fairness, when they have been sluggish in first halves, they've more than often came back. Obviously, they didn't come back to win this, but they still showed a tremendous amount of character to fight their way back into it. Injuries is obviously a problem for them, like Sean Finn, Peter Casey, Mike Casey, Darragh O'Donovan, obviously, as well. Like a lot of injuries. The injuries are mounting up for Limerick. In the past, when they've had injuries, they've been able to cope and they've been able to still go on and win All Irelands and everything else. Will that happen this year? We'll have to wait and see. But for Cork, they need to kick on now. Definitely need to kick on. I think they need to beat Tipperary, and then whatever happens elsewhere, we will see what happens. I think a win versus Tip will be enough because, as I said, I do think Limerick will beat Waterford, and I do think Clare will beat Tipperary. So I think Cork will get that third position. And then you're looking at how things are going in Leinster. Do you know what I mean? And who do Cork might end up getting Kilkenny in the quarterfinals at this stage, the way things are going. But there we go. Klaus says here, congratulations to Cork from a Limerick fan. A deserved victory. And John says Davy Fitz will have his Waterford team playing out with their skin against the treaty. Yeah, look, I mean, it won't be, it won't be a hammering. Like, it will be 1 or 2 points either way, and it will go completely down to the absolute wire as well. So look, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here anyway. Anyone who tuned in, massively appreciated. We've had some amount of comments here. Probably haven't got through them all, but yeah, anyone who tuned in, if you could hit the like button and subscribe, that'd be very much appreciated. We recently hit 5,000 subscribers, so I'm very, very delighted about that. And we'll be making a bit of an announcement maybe in the next couple of days, and a few other things and bits and bobs along the way. But yeah, look, anyone who tuned in, massively appreciated. There will be match reactions and videos out obviously tomorrow for some of the football games and everything else. So yeah, my name is Aaron, and we will speak to you all in the next one.